Coming up this week, bear with us, are poo transplants the next big performance enhancer? Because studies suggest they could turn a donkey into a racehorse.
Which means there is hope for us yet, Si. We have also got the latest top name X-Pro to take on the gravel world, Mark Cavendish adopting Zone 2 training, and a look at the brand new 12-speed Brompton.
Plus, we have got an exclusive giveaway for you, so stay tuned for that.
This week, in the world of cycling, we learned that Emil Herzog of Bora Hansgrohe crossed the finish line first at the Trofeo Palma last week.
Unfortunately for Emil, there were still 2 laps to go after his exuberant celebration.
Do you know what, though? I would still put that photo on the wall if that was me. Hands in the air, big race.
Well, I was thinking you should have done it on the Champs-Elysees as you finished 164th in the Tour de France, shouldn't you, really? That would have been amazing.
That would have been good.
Now, we learnt as well that even Ollie Bridgewood, who normally leaves no stone unturned when it comes to performance gains, would not wear that new POC Aero road helmet.
Shall we quote Ollie?
Yeah, go on.
He said, "You've got to preserve the aesthetic of the sport somewhere." That's the same Ollie Bridgewood, by the way, that was seen in public using knee-high socks and an aero chest fairing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in defence of Ollie, this is a bit of a worrying trend in the world of road racing, isn't it? Those new helmets from Kask, the one that covers your ears, and then this POC one, which kind of defies explanation, really, doesn't it? They're not the most pleasant to look at.
No.
I mean, lycra-clad cyclists, let's face it, we have never been the cool kids on the block, but it does feel like things are perhaps going a little far, doesn't it? Particularly if Ollie thinks that.
Do you know what? Next, everyone's going to be wearing big, oversized shades, aren't they?
Well, I mean, if everyone does, they may not become quite as cool. But there's certainly no need anymore, no, with those aero helmets with the visor.
The integrated visor,
Absolutely,
yes.
yeah. I mean, for me, those lids look a little bit like something that might be worn by a model for an inline skating ad in Los Angeles in like 1992. Do you know what? Do you know the kind of thing I mean? Yeah, it's that kind of thing. Right, now moving on, we also learned recently that there could be a new doping practice on the horizon. Quite frankly, it's
Literally.
literally yeah, fecal transplants.
Otherwise known as poo doping. And before you laugh, this could actually be a thing by the sounds of it. We should try to explain without being too graphic just here. So in medical situations, its use is widespread to treat chronic C. diff infections. The idea around potential fecal transplants in humans is to improve the health and volume of your gut bacteria or microbiome.
Yeah, now this is a hot topic
Really
at the
hot,
minute in health circles right now. The more research that is done, the more scientists are realising the incredible importance of our microbiome to general well-being and health.
Yeah. So in a healthy person, the healthy bacteria in your body can weigh about the same as your brain, which is incredible, isn't it?
Well, it is. In fact, you have 10 times more microorganisms in your body than you have actual cells that make up your body.
It's incredible.
That's mind-blowing, isn't it? Yeah.
These microorganisms have a multitude of functions, and amongst them is food digestion, regulation of our immune system, protection against other bacteria that cause disease, and production of vitamins. But they have been linked to your mood and emotions as well. So
That's right.
A multitude of functions.
Yeah, so the health of your microbiome is partly genetic, we think, but largely influenced by your diet as well. So to simplify things massively, the more whole foods, vegetables and fermented foods you eat, and the fewer processed foods as well, actually, which can be detrimental, then the better your microbiome is going to be.
Yes, so if you want to improve your gut microbiome, and you should, let's be honest, then you can by improving your diet. However, it might still not be as good as somebody else's, in which case you can take some through their fecal matter.
That sounds absolutely rank, doesn't it? Now, studies in humans are limited at the moment, but there are plenty involving mice, okay? So here's some food for thought. In a Harvard University study in 2019...
2019? Like we're late to the party with this one. How have we only stumbled upon it now?
Well, I know. I mean, who would have thought? Because we are renowned as having our fingers on the pulse of scientific research. Anyway, researchers took 15 stool samples from Boston Marathon runners and then compared them with 10 sedentary people and found that elevated levels of certain bacteria in the marathon runners. When mice were then injected with those identified bacteria, they then displayed increased levels of endurance and lower susceptibility to inflammation.
However, doctors have since pointed out that the risk of humans trying something similar are there, aren't they? You might acquire some good microbes, but you could also acquire some that you don't really want.
That said, Dan, there are also risks with storing your blood in a fridge and re-injecting it at a later date, but that did not seem to put off some pro cyclists from doing it.
Did it? I can already see a huge scandal on the horizon, actually. Police seize hundreds of poos, all in bags with names of riders' pets on them.
That'd be a storm, wouldn't it?
Well, it'd be crap for the sport, wouldn't it?
Can we squeeze any more puns in at this point?
Well, number one, I can't think of any more from this stool. And number two...
Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah, right. Anyway, let's not waste any more time, shall we? Right, going back to the studies, there was another one conducted back in 2017.
Crikey,
this time.
we really are very late to this party.
Well, we are. Yeah, we are. Better late than never, though. That one looked at the gut microbiome of elite cyclists, amateur cyclists, and non-cyclists, right? So super relevant to us. A microbe called Prevotella was found in just 10% of the non-cyclists. It was found in half of the amateur cyclists, but get this, it was found in all of the elite cyclists.
Amazing. The study was conducted by Lauren Peterson, a research scientist at the Jackson Laboratory for Genomic Medicine in Connecticut, who said that she had given herself a fecal transplant.
Oh, God. How?
Well, I'm going to quote what she said, which was, "Not fun, but it's pretty basic."
Oh, God. She did it at home?
On her own, apparently, yes.
Well, I mean, if I was going to do it at home, I think I would be on my own. I don't think I want anyone else to see that.
No supervision whatsoever.
Oh.
Anyway, she did it to treat a number of symptoms that she'd been experiencing since she contracted Lyme's disease when she was a child. So transplant apparently completely cured all those symptoms that she'd had from Lyme's disease. And not only that, she said that she went from struggling to find the energy to go out and train on her bike to winning bike races.
Wow. I mean, okay. Well, that does raise the point. Would you do it? I don't know. Obviously, that is just one isolated data point, but it certainly makes you think, doesn't it?
Make you think, yeah.
Do we know why non-cyclists had 10% of Prevotella and why amateur cyclists had 50%? Do we know that difference? Is it something that you get from, I don't know, like spray off the road on wet days, like from cow poop or something?
I'm no scientist, as you know, so I'm not sure on the answer to that, but potentially the reason why 100% of pros have it is maybe that it's an essential component of elite performance, maybe.
Well, yeah, I suppose that is then. God, imagine that. The kind of the hidden like talent.
The key
is actually
success.
Your microbiome. I guess
our microbiome must be crap, mustn't it?
I guess the other question then, right, and the important question is, would poo transplants be unethical? Would WADA move to ban it if it became a thing? Well, maybe it is a thing, we just don't know about it.
How would you even test for it? Do you think it's possible to test for poo transplants?
I don't know, you'd have to have some like poo biotransplant. A biopassport, I mean, like the blood passport. But yeah.
To see if there's any radical differences from one week to the next.
Well, yeah.
It is a really interesting question though, isn't it? But I guess it would be construed as unethical because you're effectively injecting something that enhances your performance, aren't you? Which is generally what we see as doping.
Well, yeah, but you're not injecting with a needle, are you? I think it's like a suppository, isn't it?
Needle.
It goes up and in, doesn't it? I mean, I know there are plenty of suppositories that are on the banned list already, but it feels like it's more of a grey area than like a hypodermic needle, doesn't it?
Well, at the same time, there's lots of stuff that you eat, which is also banned, isn't it?
Don't eat a poo transplant, mate.
No.
Absolutely don't do that. No.
More importantly than this, though, we've also been talking about the potential performance enhancement at elite level. But the example of Lauren that we spoke about just a few minutes ago shows that it could really help people that are suffering from various ailments to just sort of feel normal and healthy again, as well as helping normal people live more energetic, active lives.
Yeah. I mean, we should throw this out to you lot, shouldn't we, really? Would you consider a fecal transplant to enhance your health or your performance? And then also, B, would you consider it to be cheating in a professional sporting context?
Yeah, you can let us know in the comments section down below. The one thing I've just thought about is, this is now a podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have been a bit more descriptive in this lead story.
No, I think people might be thanking their lucky stars. Would you do it?
For health, yeah.
Would you?
Well, I think, like we said at the start, there's been limited human studies, so I'd want more of them to be published before, in case there's any danger, because as we mentioned, it might be that there's harmful microbiome that are put into your body, which you obviously don't want. But if it's proven effective, why not? Gives you more energy.
Yeah. Is it unethical?
For sport?
Yeah.
We only started thinking about this 3 hours ago. That's not long enough for me to make a decision. What do you reckon?
I think it probably is. If the advantages from getting a turbocharged microbiome are as big as people think they are, and you can't get it simply through manipulating your diet, then yeah, I think it is unethical. But I suppose what we don't know at the minute is how much of your microbiome is genetic. We think some of it's genetic, but we don't know that much of it is genetic. And so I think if you start manipulating with, inherited things, that's when you get into hot water. But otherwise, when I think about diet, from 20 years ago when I started racing, I kind of think it wasn't terrible, but it definitely wasn't good.
Yeah, I've changed my diet quite a lot recently based on microbiome.
And your performance has rocketed, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. The other thing I was thinking about was, how do you get a hold of Mathieu van der Poel's? I can just envisage people following his camper van from a cyclocross race and waiting for the driver to empty the tank somewhere.
I am a big fan of Mathieu van der Poel, but even I draw the line somewhere down.
Would you go for Pogacar?
Well, no, we're talking.
I'd go for Voss.
Yeah, good point, actually. Yeah, longevity as well.
Anyway.
And now it's time for cycling shorts.
Right then, should we turn the page, so to speak, from that lot? We are going to start cycling shorts now with some science still.
Science.
More science. This is peer-reviewed science published in the European Journal of Public Health, no less. Sarah Alawat et al. Have added yet more evidence to the ever-growing pile that active travel, i.e. cycling to work, is incredibly beneficial for your health.
Interestingly though, they looked at a different marker of health. Inflammation, which we spoke about earlier on.
Yeah, but not in relation to turds.
No, specifically circulating C-reactive proteins, which have been linked to major illnesses such as cardiovascular disease.
Yeah, now we know from prior research that regular cyclists benefit from lower CRP levels, but in this case, the researchers looked at 6,208 working adults in Finland and found that those who walked or cycled to work for more than 45 minutes in total each day had on average 16.8% lower levels of CRPs.
However, that benefit disappeared for those whose commutes were less than 29 minutes per day when you account for other factors like diet and what they do in their leisure time.
Yeah. That's quite interesting, isn't it? From 45 minutes to 29 minutes, and there's that significant difference. Anyway, let's just sum up, shall we? If you do one new thing this year, folks, cycle to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
13:30 was just about there, wasn't it? Not 29.
Well, yeah,
except
good
Conor
point.
only did 29 minutes, didn't he?
29 minutes, 55 seconds, yeah. Can't Right, now speaking of leisure time, despite retiring at the end of 2023, Greg Van Avermaet hasn't been enjoying much of it. He has already, in fact, signed up for Unbound Gravel next year, and we think he means business.
Oh, I bet he does.
Yeah.
He's the latest in now long line of ex-pro roadies who are having a pop at gravel racing, and of all of them, I reckon he's the one that's got the best CV.
I think he does, yeah. We've also got some insider gossip on Greg, okay? So Connor took him to Peru back in November to go bikepacking. It was quite extreme bikepacking as well. Anyway, Connor said that Greg was still insanely fit and still mildly obsessed with maintaining that fitness, to the point that on the day they arrived, after a 20-hour flight or whatever, at altitude in Cusco, Greg was like, do you mind if I go for a 15k run? And off he went. Yeah, so there you go.
Well, now we know why he was still so motivated in retirement.
Indeed, yeah.
Sticking with veteran pro cyclists keeping fit, king of the sprints Mark Cavendish is, according to his coach at Astana in an interview with Beachy Pro, turning to Zone 2 training in his bid for a record-breaking 35th Tour de France stage win this summer.
Yeah. I mean, technically, we've said Zone 2, haven't we? His coach said low-intensity aerobic training. Done at altitude in Colombia, which I thought was interesting. More interesting, though, not much high intensity in there and no gym work.
It's quite old school, then, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah.
I guess now he's 38, he should know what works for him by now. But equally, I'm quite surprised he's not hitting the gym to try and maintain that muscle mass, because he's getting to an age where it sort of just disappears, isn't it?
Speaking from experience,
Speaking from experience, yeah.
Actually, speaking from experience here as well. Didn't have much to go, but it's going. Now, some tech news now, and the iconic folding bike brand Brompton have just introduced new 12-speed Bromptons.
This they have achieved via 4-geared cassettes paired with a 3-speed hub gear.
Yeah, now the promo photo, which I saw on the GCN website, I noticed, is taken on a street, actually just down the road from where I live, called Vale Street in Bristol. It's rumoured to be one of, if not the steepest residential streets in, I don't know where.
West Bristol.
Well, basically, yeah, no, the world. It's so steep, in fact, I can't help but wonder if the model on the Brompton is actually just about to overbalance backwards. It's borderline. It certainly is borderline.
What you mean to say is you'd like to see what happened next after the photo.
I want to see the outtakes from that Brompton photo shoot, basically. Now, sticking with tech, there's also some mouth-watering new stuff coming from Campagnolo. They have a new addition to their Bora wheel line. It's been going for over 30 years now, Boras, I think. I think I read that. Anyway, don't quote me. They are even lighter than the previous generations, but the biggest news is the wider rim bed at 23mm to improve the aerodynamics, specifically at the tyre rim interface.
They are available in 35, 45 and 60mm depths, and we'll have a closer look coming very soon on this channel.
Indeed. Now, the World Cyclocross Championships are coming up this weekend. Both the current world champions, Fem van Empel and Mathieu van der Poel, do look, don't they, to be odds-on favourites to retain their titles.
Talk about dominance. Van Empel has won 15 from 17 races that she started this season, and Van der Poel 12 from 30.
Wowzers. Now, if that sounds boring to you lot, I don't think it is. These are riders at the top of their game. Frankly, I think I could watch footage of them out training. They are that good, and I would still be transfixed. There's something about seeing people that good, isn't there? Like watching you get beaten up by Vingegaard and Kuss the other day whilst they were in their recovery zones. That will long be a highlight for me, I think, mate.
If only I'd got some of their microbiome after that shoot.
Oh, if only you'd thought about it first. You could have hung around them a bit longer.
Just knocked on the door. Can I come in? Plus, going back to cyclocross, it's never 100% nailed on. I mean, they are the outright favourites, of course. But just look at that Benidorm World Cup from last weekend. Van der Poel hit a pole, didn't he? And
after
Van
8
Aert
laps,
crashed with 500 metres to go, and then jumped back on a bike that had no saddle on it, just the rails.
It's going to take him a long time to live that down, isn't it? Not that anything happened to him, but
he just didn't seem to feel anything.
No. Crikey. Anyway. What we're saying is the World Champs this weekend should be an absolute cracking weekend of racing, shouldn't we? It will also be farewell to a bit of a pro cycling legend, won't it? Zdeněk Štýbar. So he has carried on racing in order for his last pro race to be at his home World Championships. That's at Tabor in the Czech Republic. It's a race he won in 2010. So that's kind of a cool little comeback type vibe, isn't it? But we would like to wish him well, not only for the Tabor World Champs, but also for the future as well.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I really like Zdeněk.
Yeah, and he's been a fixture on our radars for a long old time, hasn't he?
It's been a long time. Did you see the jersey he wore at the World Cup yesterday?
No, what was that?
It was just a white skin suit, but he had thank you written in multiple languages.
No way.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh, that is super cool, isn't it?